RCKicks on today's show. What goes up in value? What's going to go down in value? What's the car that I dislike the most in my collection, and why do I even have it? Tamiya have released a few photographs at the toy show showing that they're going to do a re-re for the Terra Scorcher. What does that mean? Well, it means we can finally get hold of some parts for the rest of the family. Are you interested in getting one? There, put your comments below. So, the car that I dislike the most. Why have I even got it? Why did I spend good money on it? Well, the Striker. Why do I have a Striker? Why don't I like it? The reason I have one of these is a little bit complicated. I don't like the look of it at all, and a lot of people don't. It's a very Marmite car. If you don't know what Marmite is, it's this. And don't try it, it's disgusting. Or you'll love it for some weird reason. Anyway, I digress. So this car, I think this is going to go up in value. Why do I think it's going to go up in value? Well, it's got a few things going for it. One, it was a car that a lot of people didn't like, so it didn't sell very well. So that's the first thing. The second thing, it's super fragile. Very easy to break and damage the chassis, and once you break the chassis, trying to find another one is really difficult. So out of the low numbers produced, I'm pretty sure a lot of them are broken and damaged. 3, it was a very cheap car, so I think it was purchased for a lot more of the younger RC kids, which means it would have had a hard life anyway. Being that it's fragile, so you add all those with low numbers, and there isn't that many of them, and I've been keeping an eye on them, and yes, a couple kind of randomly come up, but they're not in very good condition, they're not mint, they've had hard lives, or people have bodged them and tried to fix them up and things like that, so they're not that easy. Prices aren't insanely expensive. A good one will probably set you now 110, 120 for a good one, not a mint one, but a good one. So I think these are going to increase in value. I can't see Tamiya ever doing a re-re, ever. It didn't sell very well in the first place, why would they do a re-re? There's many other cars that people are screaming for re-res, so I don't think that that's what's going to happen to this car, which means that as an investment, it's probably a good time to jump into these cars because prices haven't gone up that much. Some things are quite easy to get hold of, like tires and wheels and things like that, but things like this top section, very hard to get, and chassis. They also go very yellow if they're not painted, so you have to refresh them. Decals are super expensive to get hold of, so getting a sorted one of these is becoming harder and harder all the time. So if you're thinking about an investment car, this is probably a good way to go, and they're reasonable priced at the moment. So that is the Striker, and it's not as bad in real life as you think when you look at the photographs. And it has got a bit of an under following as well, and it is a car that's well known. A lot of people know about this car, usually because they don't like it. So it's got a high status of people knowing what it is. A lot of people don't really want to own it, and then the prices are going to go up and up and up and up and up. So that's why I have one on the show, and that's why I have one in the collection. Another car, this is a bit of a wild card for me. Another car that I think is going to go up in value, has but one or two potential things that could stop it from doing that, and that is, oh, it's always the ones that are always so far away. That is the Neo Top Force. Now, a lot of people look at this and think it's a cheap version of a Top Force, as well as one of the other variants that you get with the same chassis, like the Manta Ray, the Terra Conqueror, and those kind of cars. It's actually not. It's completely different chassis. The chassis on this car only shows up in one other car that I know of. If I'm wrong, comment below, but the only other car that shares this chassis is the Super Manta Ray and this. These are XB cars. You couldn't build them, they came pre-built. Now, yes, it has a chassis like a Top Force, but it's not exactly the Top Force one because it doesn't have the correct gearbox cover mounts. That if I show you, let's use this one because it's blue. They are actually different. If you look at the fronts, you'll notice the front of the chassis is actually different. They've removed this section. These bits are here, but not this. So that body is actually different. This is also different across here as well. This has been shaved down. So not the same, not at all. So, and that's part of, that's the thing about this car. Also, you've got the thing about, well, why is the spoiler so low? Actually, it's not the spoiler that's so low, it's the body that's so high, because the chassis underneath this car is completely different. So I'll show you. Nothing like it, completely different. Underside shows it even more so. There you go. Now the strange thing about this is they put this massive dust cover over the top, but there's great big holes underneath. So all the dirt and all the muck just flies up straight under here, and there's the servo. So that all the dirt coming in goes straight up inside and is trapped inside this box. Makes no sense whatsoever. This chassis, because it's very rare, it has a different battery clip. If you're going to buy one of these, try and get one with a battery clip, because I don't have one. They're really hard to find because they just didn't do that many of them. So this, I think, is going to go up in value. Now, the only caveat to what could stop it going up in value is people don't know much about this car, and when they do see this car, they just think it's a ready-to-run version of a Top Force. But being that it's so radically different, it makes it much more collectible. But unless people start to realize that this is a very different car, I can't see it going up that much. Now, in a year, I've seen 2 of these come up for sale in the UK. Only 2 of them, and this is one of them. Another car that I think is increasing in value is this car. This sorry for itself. Now, this is the Madcap. Again, not a upmarket expensive kit, becoming harder to find all the time. There's some parts of this car that are just impossible to get, like front tires, but again, it's got friction shocks and things like that. So yeah, becoming harder to find in good condition. Now this one is in reasonable condition, even though it looks very dirty. Yes, it needs a new body and it needs a new wing, but the rest of the car is all there. It's just filthy dirty. It hasn't done mega running, so it needs a little bit of love to bring it back. Rear tires are easy to get. So yeah, that's another one I think is becoming harder to find. I don't think they'll re-rear ever as well, which means it will continue to increase in value. But you do find very ropey ones coming up, but then they need a lot of love. So that's the Madcap. So that's a going up with a little bit. Now let's talk about something that's going down in value. Now, I'm pretty sure a lot of you may already know, but Tamiya has announced that in April, I think it is, the Terra Scorcher is coming out as a re-re. Now that means the whole family of these cars, parts will be much more available. From the photos that we've seen, it doesn't look like they've changed that much, which great, it means you can get bumpers and bits and pieces and things like that. So that will replenish the part stock for these cars. So I'll see that the prices of these will come down for a while. In different variants, it doesn't really matter because the chassis are slightly different, but they're not radically different. So my expectation is that this will drop in value for a while before going back up. So if you keep an eye on the prices, and if the originals drop in value, you might want to pick one up, because further down the line they will increase back up again, as people like to have an original and a re-re. I will be getting 2 re-res, one to keep and one I will build on the show. And that's my Thunder Dragon. Do I think you should buy a mint one of these right now? Probably not. Anyway, there you go. That's my Thunder Dragon, and I must paint the body. All original, beautiful car in great condition. I'd like to be able to put a mint bumper because it's got a big scratch down the front. But anyway, we digress. We're not talking about my specific cars. Another car that I think is going to increase in value and is quite expensive already is the Vanquish. This car, I cannot see Tamiya reproducing. Prices are creeping up quite a lot on these already, especially in good condition. Mint ones are now starting to sell for some pretty heavy money. Parts are very difficult to come by. Bumpers, very difficult to come by. Wheels, they're around, but they're expensive. The cream ones, obviously, there's two different types. There's the cream, which is the original, and then there's the white ones, which are the more modern ones. Even the white ones are quite expensive, but the mint cream ones are expensive to get hold of. Bodies, well, you can get Team Green, Blue Groove. Decals, yes, they're expensive, 40–50 pound, but to get one with a mint chassis and things like that, and these will only increase in value. Some things that are really difficult to get is the G parts, the front uprights, bumpers, like I said. So this is a continually upward trend, but it also already has gone up quite a lot in price. So yeah, that's the Vanquish. And another car that I really love the look of, but I don't like it at all. And if you have one of these, please don't take the plastic chassis off and change it for an Avanti chassis or a, I think the chassis is longer, so you need to have the Vajra chassis to get the length. Don't change the chassis, because the chassis is what makes this car unique. So if you think, oh, I know, I'll put loads of carbon on it, don't. Just keep it with its plastic chassis. You need the plastic chassis to keep it original. This had high caps on it, and I actually went back to the original. The high cap's going to go on something else, but I tried to restore this back to as original as possible, and I still have another one. And this one I haven't finished painting yet. This is the runner with all the modern electronics. I haven't restored the chassis or anything like that because I want to drive this car. Still needs a little bit more work, but one is a shelf queen and one is a driver. So that's the Vanquish. Love-hate relationship with this car. Another car that is increasing with value and rarity is the, like it needs much of an introduction, is the Tamiya King Cab. Now this is my project that I've been slowly restoring. I haven't really done this one on camera. Now I don't know why. I think this to me is my kind of personal build. I love this car, but I've kind of just kept it to myself. I put some photos up now and again, but I haven't done any real big videos of it. It's coming along quite nicely, and all the chassis has been up fixed, and it's all, you know, in pretty mint condition. Still struggling to find tyres, but parts, super rare parts. Getting tyres for these and things like that is really difficult. So these are increasing in value, and every one that comes up is expensive and usually a bit of a wreck, to be quite honest with you. So the prices on these will continue to trickle up quite a lot. The mechanical speed control is hard to find. So yeah, so this one is definitely an upward trend, but people love these. There's a real following for these, and I can see why. It's a fantastic car and it looks stunning, absolutely stunning car. So I'm really chuffed to have one, and I'd like to add a Monster Racer at some point. I've managed to pick up some Monster Racer tyres in case one comes up. I have been offered one or two, but I didn't really want to drop that kind of money on them, so I'm waiting. But hopefully I'll be able to add its brother at some point. So that is an increasing value all the time. Will they re-rear? Possibly. It would be very easy for them to re-release this. There is nothing really that I would change apart from putting modern electronics in it. So it could be that the prices increase and then they do a re-re of it. Well, it won't be in 2020. Could it be 2021, 2022? Possibly. I think Tamiya are really looking to see how well this Terra Scorcher is going to sell. If that sells big units, then they might speed up their re-releases. I don't know. I mean, I'm purely speculating and going on by what I see in the market. So we'll see. So what do you think? Comment below. Thanks very much. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.